Okay, so, listen. I got a phone call today from the Pepper Austin. And he says, you want to go see a movie tonight? Let's get a babysitter. We're going to see The Joker. What? You don't like movies? Thinking, what's going on? He must be looking at movies. He must like this movie. He might want to see this movie. So I am not going to kick a gift horse in the mouth.
Welcome to the Pepper Austin channel.
We're going on a date night and we are going to see The Joker, and we will let you know how it is. But let me just tell you a little something about the Pepper. So he doesn't really like movie theaters too much. He doesn't like a lot of people, period.
I just don't like movies. I don't know what it is. I'm very different than most people in that way. Hollywood doesn't entertain me. I think 99% of movies are stupid. I lose interest in them. I don't connect to the characters. It's only really been a handful of movies in my life that I would watch more than once. So it's very unusual for me to want to see a movie. However, one of the movies that I do hold dear, a movie that I did like, was The Dark Knight. And I think mostly that's because I think Heath Ledger was so iconic in the role of the Joker that when I found out that Joaquin Phoenix was going to do the role all over again, he was treading on sort of sacred ground. So I'm very interested to see how he's going to handle the role. I've heard good things. The movie came out, I want to say on the 4th. Today is the, what, the 7th or the 8th?
7th.
7th. Came out a couple of days ago, I guess on Friday. And, I mean, people have been saying good things, but I want to see it myself. So this is one of those rare occasions where, yes, I actually wanted to go and see a movie. All right, guys, so a couple nights ago, we vlogged a little bit in the car. We were on the way to go see The Joker. It was pouring rain. And we decided after the movie to wait a little bit on the review, because sometimes you have to digest a movie, and this is one of those movies, especially because for me personally, I will always associate the role of the Joker with Heath Ledger. To me, he really personified what the Joker was and what the Joker was meant to be. So the movie was directed by Todd Phillips, and he co-wrote the screenplay. I'm reading here my notes, so don't mind me. He co-wrote the screenplay with Scott Silver. It was loosely based on the 1988 graphic novel Batman: The Killing Joke. Of course, you know that Joaquin Phoenix stars as Arthur Fleck, the Joker, and he's basically a failed stand-up comedian whose sort of lack of success at everything he does drives him to this life of crime.
And it doesn't help that he has a mental illness. Right.
He's definitely mentally ill. And the movie takes place in the year 1981. And before we even get into the movie, they did a tremendous job of capturing what city life was like in 1981. I grew up in the city during that time. I would have been about 13, 14 years old, 1981. That is very much what life in New York City felt like. And I realize Gotham is just a hypothetical metropolis, but they really captured the grittiness, the dirtiness, the high crime, the subway system. It felt very much 1981. And as far as the comparison, as far as Ledger and Phoenix goes, I don't think there's really one to be made, because even though it was the same character, the two roles were completely different. And in so many ways. You know, with the movie, with the Joker, he was the protagonist of the movie. So we saw a side to the Joker that Heath Ledger never really got to address. Heath Ledger is depraved in The Dark Knight. He's a very polished, vicious killer. There's no vulnerability to him. Anytime he has somebody in his web, they're trapped. And you always get that feeling like there's this imminent danger looming whenever he's on the screen. So he has this sort of terrifying presence. With Joaquin Phoenix, there's a vulnerable side and there's a painful aspect to the character that you connect to, even though he is mentally ill. And then it sort of takes you on the ride on that downward spiral into insanity, and you go with him for the ride.
They're kind of making him out. This is the beginnings of the Joker, so they're kind of making him, he's the victim in this. It's making the Waynes look bad in a way, but it's just two sides to the story. This is the one side. His side. And in Batman, we see the Wayne side.
So I don't know about the Waynes looking bad. I mean, they're...
But it does make the Joker out to be the victim sometimes in this. Before he becomes a criminal, he actually is a victim of a violence, subway violence, this, that, and the other. And it shows you what led him all the way down that line. It didn't help that he had mental illness, because it just gradually got worse and worse and worse. No matter how hard he tried to be good and be kind, it wasn't in the cards for him.
And the thing is that what makes the character very vulnerable is that he's actually like kind of apologetic. He knows he's mentally ill, and he's almost apologetic for it. He's embarrassed by it. The maniacal laughter constantly presses on him, and he actually holds, without giving away any spoilers, of course, he actually gives away cards to people explaining to them that he's mentally ill. I mean, he's not depraved like the Heath Ledger Joker. He becomes
that person.
Depraved, but not on the level. He doesn't have the screen presence that Heath Ledger did. Now, that having been said,
he did a great job portraying, acting out the part.
He's phenomenal. Joaquin Phoenix, he's Oscar worthy in this performance. I think he stands a good chance at an Oscar. He did not have as good a script as Heath Ledger had with The Dark Knight. DC, they haven't been well known for their movies. Batman vs. Superman was terrible. And the writing, really it was Joaquin Phoenix's acting that carried the entire movie. He sucked you in and he engrossed you, and you just, every little nuance he had, every little thing he did came so natural that you were just completely sucked into the character. And that's what made the movie, he made the movie great. It wasn't the script, the cinematography was superb, and so was the effects like we talked about, the period timing. Mm-hmm. The script was not tremendous, and again, without giving away any spoilers, it left a lot of room for interpretation. Mm-hmm. There's 3 or 4 different ways you could have walked away from this movie assuming it ended, so to speak.
Correct.
So,
I have my opinion, and it's the majority of the opinions are what I was saying.
But there are alternatives.
But there are alternatives, and they make a good, argument.
And we don't want to give any of that away because we don't want to spoil the movie.
Right.
But the point is, if you haven't seen the movie, this is definitely worth your time. It's definitely worth the money. He's really brilliant. I do not feel that he dethrones Heath Ledger because the two cannot be compared.
No.
These are 2 different roles. They come from 2 different places. It is the same character, but you have a keen awareness that these 2 could not be compared side by side.
Well, it's like Heath Ledger is the Joker and Joaquin Phoenix plays the Joker. That's about how you can compare it.
When I spoke to my brother about it briefly through some Facebook back and forth, my youngest brother said that to him, Jack Nicholson will always be his favorite Joker, will always hold a special spot. And I can understand that because he was the classic Joker, right? Nicholson was, everything Nicholson does, everything he touches, he leaves his mark on. And he played the real classic Joker. When you think of the comic book Joker, that was Jack Nicholson. Heath Ledger took the Joker to a whole different level.
He brought the Joker to today.
He made him more menacing and more more evil. He was just dangerous.
It's like he was the Joker. Like,
Yeah,
it didn't
he
have to be
became
just
the
on
role.
camera. He became the role.
And that was mystified and exemplified even more after his death, because it just almost became, it added a certain mystique to the movie. But Joaquin Phoenix, it's a totally different, it comes from a totally different place. He's not as lucid as Heath Ledger was. You get the feeling that this is a man who's being driven by his mental state. Whereas the Joker, Heath Ledger's Joker, you felt just enjoyed causing pain.
Right. But that's what this movie's about. It's because it was reaching him. It was getting him. This is what he was, and this is how he became what Heath Ledger portrays.
So anyway, from us, definitely 2 thumbs up, as Siskel and Ebert would say. That's 4 thumbs. I would rate the movie, I would say probably a 9 out of 10 is where I would put it. What are you thinking?
9.
9 out of 10?
Yep.
So very, very good movie. Go and see it. Don't wait for it to come out. It's a movie that really can be enjoyed on the big screen, and we highly recommend it. You will not be disappointed. So that's it for now, guys. We will catch you later. This coming Saturday, we have plans to go to Epcot to the International Wine and Food Festival. Have not enjoyed that yet, but we plan on doing it this Saturday if everything goes as planned, and we'll see you guys there.
And I'm getting a scooter.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.